Hello and welcome to the Chop It Up Podcast, the show that's unfiltered and unapologetic. Each episode will bring you closer to finding your purpose. And for our loyal listeners, a special surprise awaits you at the end. Be sure to listen all the way through. Now, here's your host, Carmisha Superville.
Super excited to be back. I hope you guys missed me. Yes, your girl went away for the summer and I'm back. I'm refreshed and I'm renewed. I'm so happy to be back. And this is our first episode for the new season. My God, I can't believe we've been doing this since 2020. Thank you so much for listening to the Chop It Up Podcast. As I said, this is the first season and we have an amazing episode talking about generational wealth. You know, we are right now in the trenches of a recession, even though they don't want to call it that, but that's where we are. And so really now we got to talk about how do we maintain, how do we reclaim our time, and really how do we invest in our communities. So let's jump right into it. I have the honor of speaking with, for the first time, we got three guest speakers, three amazing, prolific guest speakers. I have Yadlin Cherubin. She is a licensed real estate broker. I have Robert Fortune, who is the owner and CEO of Fortune Advisory Services, and Dr. Graham. We are going to have a conversation organically about generational wealth, and stay tuned for an amazing announcement at the end. Let's jump right into it. You are welcome. Yadlin, tell the people about yourself.
Well, listen, I'm super excited, first of all, to just be here with you guys. Robert, the connection that you guys made, I love it. And I'm excited to see how it's going to grow. My name is Yadlin Cherubin. I'm a licensed real estate broker. I've been licensed for about 18 years. I fell in love with real estate about 6 years ago because I understood and I realized the power that getting into real estate and just owning real estate can give you. So I fell in love with just being a real estate broker, being able to empower people, being able to educate people. I have a team that I started about 6 years ago as well, the legacy team. When our job is to help create wealth through buying and selling real estate, help educate our consumers, our clients. We are community-based, so you will see us out in the community, which is why we connect so well, all of us. And I'm just looking forward to all of our collaboration right here.
Awesome. We love it. Dr. G, let's get you. What's new? Let's introduce the people to who you are.
Well, thank you first and foremost for really putting this together. I think it's going to be really phenomenal. Part of my work touches so many aspects of business and personal life. Part of that is working in the school, whether it's K through 12, colleges, and so on, and in the community. And as an MWBE myself, minority woman business enterprise, we get an opportunity to touch a couple of different things as a management consulting firm, just with community engagement. And this is why this event is really such a fantastic one, because, wealth, I guess sometimes the stigma about what that is doesn't help, our community members and the work that we have to put in and the opportunities that are out there to build community wealth is really fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to engaging with the panel and hearing what they're going to be talking about as well. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, we always like balance here. So Robert, let the people know a little bit about who you are, because we had a great conversation. So I'm excited.
Listen, I'm used to being in a room full of women, right? I've been raised by women, so it's part of my life. But thank you for having me join. I'm Robert Fortune. I run a investment advisory firm by the name of Fortune Advisory Services. I've been in the finance industry for about 16 years now, working for major firms like HSBC and JP Morgan. I've been on Wall Street. But about 5 years ago, I started my business solely with the impact or thought of impact for financial literacy. In our community, we are lacking that. It's not that we don't want it. It's not that we don't know. It's not that we cannot afford to do these things. we don't know what it is that we need to do and how to do it properly. We've been a community that's been taken advantage of. So what I'm looking to do with my time here is offer this kind of understanding so we can understand what life insurance is, understand what investments are, understand how to budget, right? And just like Dr. G, I'm in the MWBE certified business. I'm a DOE vendor. I've done financial literacy for schools. I've spoken at colleges such as St. John's. So when it comes to doing things like this, when I met Carmisha and she told me about this thing, I said, how do I get involved?
Yes.
Because I want to spend my time offering the information that I've been privy to. I wasn't supposed to have the information I have now. So I've been privy to it. So I want to pass it forward. I want to pay it forward.
All right.
Man, I love that. Man, I'm talking about the synergies. Ooh, I love that. I love that. So let's jump right into the conversation, right? When we talk about building wealth, I know from my perspective, when I was younger and in also corporate America, so nobody taught me how to save or whatever the case may be. I just knew innately that I don't want to splurge everything that I earned. And so at a very young age, when I used to make really good money, I would save. And I remember one time just literally walking my neighborhood and I went in to like this brokerage firm, investment firm. I'm not going to name who it is, but I just walked in. I said, hey, I have this savings and I don't know what to do with all this money. What can I do? And I sat down with this professional. That was maybe like 10, 5, 7, whatever, how many years ago. And he literally walked me through the investing and how to invest even at a young age, right? So I guess my question to you, Robert, especially is for young people who are making good money in the present, right? In the present tense, what should they do? How conscious should they be with saving, with investing, with trading? Let's talk a little bit about that.
So the first thing for young people, what they need to understand is that even though you're young and you feel like you're going to be around forever, you're not going to be around forever, right? So you have to plan for the future. And by doing that, I can touch upon them from my story. When I first started investing, I've been saving money since I was 14 years old. I didn't know what I was saving for. I didn't know that how much I'm supposed to be saving, but I saved money. And when I got my first real job, I started making a little bit more money. And then I realized, well, what am I going to do with this, right? And as working at the bank, I realized what money actually is, how it actually moves in our economy. And when I got that information, I realized, oh, I got to put some stuff to the side. But how do I do it? And I got into investing. And I realized to myself, well, if I'm thinking about long term, well, what are the companies that I spend my money on? I'm giving them my money. So if I feel like it's a company that's worth me paying money for, I feel like, well, then everybody else is going to feel the same way. It's a company that's going to grow. So the first companies I ever bought were Nike and JP Morgan. JP Morgan because I worked there, and Nike because I've been a huge sneakerhead since I was 17 years old. Right? I knew everything about Nike. Nobody could, I could have told you everything as if I worked for the company. Wow. So I think in that aspect, you have to look to the future and say, well, what do I want? Am I going to work every day? Am I going to work for 30, 40 years? People are always talking about they want to retire early. Well, for you to do that, your money has to work as hard as you're working. So where do you get a return? And the best return for your money has always been the stock market. In any year you want to look at the economy, the best return for your money has always been the stock market. So you have to get a basic understanding of that and kind of stay away from the trends, right? Stay away from what they're talking about on TikTok and Instagram, because those people are trying to make money from you fast, right? So you have to say to yourself, well, is this a person that I can trust? Like you walked into a brokerage firm where you can find the credentials of that person. The people on the internet, you can't find their credentials, right? Most people don't understand about a broker check or things of that nature, right? So you have to be careful. You have to be purposeful with the things that you're doing when it comes to your money. So those are the things I kind of like try to impart on the younger generation.
Love it. Love it. Now let's talk a little bit about real estate. Right now we're living in a culture where it's cool to talk about generational wealth. It's cool to talk about financial empowerment. It's cool to be a real estate agent, right? And these conversations are great. But let's get to the nitty gritty. Yanlade, from your perspective, what are some trends that you're seeing even in your industry when it comes to building wealth, and how can you build wealth in a pragmatic sense?
Oh, so I love what Robert was talking about. Just to teach the youth, right? What they can be investing in. Real estate is one of the things, like, you invested in Nike because you were a sneakerhead. For me, real estate, you need a place to live. Everyone needs a place to live. And the thing is, you're paying someone's mortgage. So why not let it be your own? I understand that it is sometimes difficult, but for me, I just think it's empowering and just educating people, letting them know what's out there. There are programs out there. There are grants. I like to talk about the compounding effect. I like to talk about long-term appreciation, because so often I find that people just want things quick, especially our young ones. Yes. They want to be able to say, I have this and I have this. And sometimes I think you just do, just do little here, do little there. And then at the end, you'll be like, whoa, how did I do this? So I think teaching our youth about patience, teaching them about the compounding effect, teaching them about just appreciation, teaching them about what things cost. If I recently had a conversation with a 24-year-old, and we were talking about rents because he's living with his family, and he's like, I want my own place. When we started talking about what it costs to live in your own place, he was so shocked.
Yeah.
He was like, he couldn't believe it. So I think that they need to understand what things cost, not just, where to lay your head, but just really like, okay, when I'm going to be on my own eventually, like, think about the future. Think about what you want your life to be like, and then really start planning. I love the fact that you've been saving since 14. Some people don't even think about it. Some people, they get money and they just spend it. They just spend it as they get it because they don't really think, I have to save. What's the reason for it? But we need to educate and teach them, listen, you're going to be around. The plan is for you to be around as long as possible. Life can be short, but it could also be very long. Mm-hmm. So what is your life going to look like? So for me, it's just that education, teaching people how to do it. I've helped families get together and buy properties so that they don't have to rent because everyone was renting for fun. I've helped friends get together to do investments. Nice. Just really pooling your resources together so that you can start building, even if it's something small. You don't have to have 100% of that investment. I recently invested in something that's major that I can't even mention what it is, but I have a small percentage, but that small percentage is ridiculous. And I don't need to have 100% of that investment, but my small percent is going to add value 10 years from now. So just that understanding, I think, is important.
Amazing.
Perfect. So what I heard so far is invest young if you can. Pool in your resources together, right? I love that. We're going to hop on that for a second when it comes to really partnering and pulling your resources together. But before we hop on that, let's talk a little bit about the MWBE journey. Now, Dr. G, you and I are MWBEs, and certainly we are in New York City. It's a very competitive space to be in as a business owner, right? And so I want to ask you, in terms of your journey, how have you been able to utilize that space to build wealth, to acquire those RFPs that are $1 million and up? Or have you?
Oh, thank you. I mean, that's a big question. And I loved what everyone was saying, what Yad shared and what Robert shared. And I know Robert is also MWBE as well, but yeah, I think, as they shared about that, I think it's that hunger, that passion. Networking is key, right? You got to go out and look at those things. You have to, brand yourself so people know that you're out there. Differentiate yourself so they know, look, you're the person I want to work with. Build that trust. Know, like, and trust people do business with, and the primes will come after you. The $1 million contracts are out there, and you don't even have to go after those. You can just work with those primes to be a subcontractor, and all of a sudden you have that, but you have to put, I guess what they would say, some skin in the game, right? You really have to, whatever, pound the pavement to go out and to be able to do that. But I think I do want to just kind of go back a little bit on what both Jad and Robert shared in terms of this get rich quick mindset.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't
Yes.
work. It's for a moment and you're going to flatline. You're not, the what's his name, Elon Musk of the world, right? Where they do something and whatever else it is, and all of a sudden they make it, and they can rebound from that. And you can strive to be that. But I think, we have to make it sexy, that education piece of it, to look, you can invest. At 14, you were doing it. Carmisha, you were saying, when you were younger, you're saving, all of a sudden you had that pile of money. When I was in college, 401k was a thing. I was like, yeah, I don't want to put my money in a 401k, right? And I reasoned with myself the following year I did. And lo and behold, all of a sudden that little couple of bucks, started to make a difference. And you have the right investment portfolio going. When folks were losing money, you're making money, right? And I think you just have to make them understand. And I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to make one other point, is even with my two oldest nephews, during COVID, they were like seeing how busy I was, right? I still had my project. I touch a number of different industry, and they were like looking at stuff, and they're like, I was talking to them about money. Stop spending money on the games. You don't need those games. Go out and do other stuff. Save. You're going to go to college. You want to, and all of a sudden, even things, when they were spending money, they were afraid to spend it with their mom because they're afraid to hear the kickback that was coming from me. In addition, all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I want to do like what Auntie Corrine's doing, right? Because she's making a difference and making money. So on that note, I'm going to turn it back over to you so the others can share.
Love it. Love it. And, you being quiet, I know you're sitting on some millions. Robert, I'll turn it back to you. What are some steps, some actionable steps that young people can take right now to build that wealth or to even get financially empowered?
For me, it's budgeting. You got to understand what a budget is. So how much money you have coming in and where is it going out? And does it have to go out there? So for me, I started a lot of my wealth when I was living at home with my parents, and I didn't have bills, right? So I was making good money working at a bank, making commissions, I was making, good money. So the only bill I had a cell phone bill, and I had a small credit card. I would pay those things, but then I would pay myself first, right? That's my savings. So if my first paycheck, I said, this is for bills, and then I'm going to put $500 into a savings. And then my next paycheck, I would go and do the things that I want to do, buy sneakers, go out, hang out with friends. But then at the end of the month, I would look at my checking account and say, I only want to keep $500 in my checking account. Everything else is going to go to my savings, right? Because I'm going to get paid again next month, right? Next 2 weeks, I'm going to get paid again. So I don't have to keep all of that in my checking to pay bills. So understanding where my income is coming from. If I'm making $2,000 a month and I'm spending $500 on expenses, then I have $1,500 for me to figure out what else I want to do with it. So it's understanding assets. So got to have cash on hand for emergency, right? Something happens, I need to have money. The rest of the money, I need to make a return from it. That money has to work. So let me look into investing. And then now let me get into a dollar cost averaging strategy of saying I'm putting in $50, $100 every single month, and let that money grow. Find a long-term investment. A company that's doing well, has done well, Nike, Disney, Apple, these kind of things. Try to stay away from those fly-by-night companies or the stories. If you want to invest in a company, like, okay, people tell you, oh, if you would invest in Tesla when it first started, you'd be a millionaire now. Like, yeah, okay, that's great. But when Tesla first started, everybody wasn't gung-ho to buy Tesla, right? Nobody knew, you weren't guaranteed that that was going to work out. And honestly, I could show you timeframes when it didn't work out for you, right? So if you want to do those kind of things, section it off, budget now. I'm going to spend $50 a month getting into these crazy ideas because I'm willing to lose that $50, right? So understanding that. So once I have the budget going, now I have my money section off and I have my goals in place. Looking to take a vacation, I have money for that. I'm saving for the future. I have money for that, right? I need to pay my bills. I have money for that. Once you have that structure, everything else is going to fall in line. Once you understand that the world works in a dollar space, then every decision that you make has a dollar value to it. Mm-hmm. So like the lady said, you can't just go out spending willy-nilly, and you also can't get it fast, right? So now let's see how we can build and still enjoy ourselves. I think when people hear budgeting, it's like a 4-letter word. They think I can't spend nothing. I got to save everything and I can't have no fun. No. When I sit down with my clients and I do a full budget plan for them, we go, okay, what's the goals? You trying to take 3 vacations a year? Okay, let me write that down. How do we structure that? You're trying to go out for date night at, once a month or once a week? Let's structure that. Now you know that you got to cut the cable. Maybe you got to get rid of the car. Maybe you have to cut these credit cards. Maybe you have to cut the phone bill. Something is going to have to get cut because the vacations, the retirement, the child's care, the child's future college is more important than me having a couple of drinks per week. It's more important. You have to understand what's important in your life, and a budget is going to show you that. So I think that's the first step that everybody gets to, and then we can discuss investing and life insurance and real estate, like Yadlin said. And she'll tell you, you can't have a house if you don't save no money. If you're not good with money, you're not owning a home, right? And I can tell you that from my experience. The only reason I was able to get my first home is because I've been saving since I was 14. Mm-hmm. I have clients now, I sit down with them, they go, oh, look, what's one of your goals? I want to buy a house next year. I go, great. How much money you have saved? 0. You're not buying the house next year, right? Let's push that back to 5 years so we can build a down payment. And there's programs, FHA, knock out all these things. We can discuss those. But the bank is if they're going to give you a loan, and I know from working at banks and doing loans, you better have some cash on hand and be able to show them that you can save money. Because this bill that's coming, this mortgage, like Yadlin said, is going to be your most expensive thing. So instead of you paying it so someone else can own their home, pay it for yourself, build value, build wealth, build assets, and then now everything else will fall into place. Because Yadlin can touch on it, that home can be a gateway to so many other opportunities by you just owning a home.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Agree.
Love it. Love it. Yes. Oh my gosh. Ooh.
I love it. So I'm going to just add to that. One of the things that, the pay yourself first, I think is big. Especially there are a lot of young people that are getting these jobs where the employer are matching things and they don't even, they're like, they don't know anything about it. Like if your employer is matching something, you need to put whatever they tell you to put in so they can match it. You need to take that free money. So that is so important. And I literally have just been like the young adults that I know, when they get these jobs and they get their packets, the first thing I'm looking for, of course you get your health insurance, but let's look at this. And what are they giving you? And what do you need to put in? You start right away.
Oh my God.
That is so important. All right. And the other thing is credit. You talked about credit. You touched on that. That is so important. And in addition to money, you need good credit. I remember when I was in college, right in front of the college, there were tables and a credit card company were giving you a cup or a hat to apply for a credit card. And so many of my friends, we all got credit cards, and some of them just thought that, they just meant that you can spend it. They didn't realize that you had to pay it back, and they didn't understand what it meant. So teaching about credit, that's so important. What does that mean? How can that impact you in the future?
Oh my
God.
God.
Your credit is such a valuable thing, business credit at some point. Mm-hmm. That is so important because they could help you with loans and everything. So just teaching them those things. And it was also, you talked about making sacrifices. Making sacrifices. I just moved and I had to make sacrifices,
Right.
Like, you need to prioritize and see what's really important to you. Look at your life and decide what's really important to you, make those sacrifices. My first place that I purchased, I didn't have cable. I just remember, okay, there's no date nights, no cable. We had to be creative because, we had to make sacrifices. That was important to me to purchase a home. And if we want to do that, what do we need to give up? So making those sacrifices and prioritizing, that's so important.
Oh my gosh. I am taking notes, mental notes. I'm like even looking at my life and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have to make some adjustments. So yeah. Dr. G, what do you have? Any inputs? What would you like to share or
Oh,
add
there's
to?
too many things for a short
Yes.
period of time. As a former management accountant, when Robert talked about budgeting, I'm like, oh boy, people don't really understand or begin to understand how impactful is that. I see, if you only have $200, how are you going to spend $1,000? Figure out, and that amount is not $1,000 anymore. It's 10 grand, right? Or just the compounding of things. And as Yad was sharing, even about like the sacrifices of what do you want, right, to get to that point, and understanding what credit means. I think I want to add to what they were sharing when all of this, because we have to sacrifice. Actually, let's fast forward a little bit. Yes, with that investing, if your company match, listen, go for it, because that's how, for me, I was able to buy my first house, right? And then unfortunately, I lost the house because I use it to bankroll my business, right? All my investments and so on. Risk, you have to take risk, and the risk pay bigger rewards. So you got to put, again, that skin in the game, the time to be able to reap back whatever that couple of bucks was to get to the next level. So investing and maximizing on that is good. The other bit that goes with this is, I think, as we're talking about fads and what's going on, we have to talk about the mental health aspect of like, look, you have a home, everybody's talking about the home or whatever. I don't understand what that means, and the struggles and the decisions we're going to make to know that, look, it's okay. Most people are struggling through, but the budgeting helps you to be able to navigate, and then surrounding yourself with people who are not at that superficial level of whatever it is, and not showing how they're really struggling through stuff, and they're not really making ends meet, right? Whether it's in the home, the relationship isn't right, or whatever that is. So I think, just really tapping in, getting mentors, really finding real people who are out there to help you, and just do your research. There's tons of information. Robert said it already. Like, yeah, not everything on the internet is so. Like, garbage in, garbage out. What do you want to lose? When do you want to learn those lessons? But making those a decision to invest and, building wealth is so important. You have to start. It doesn't matter the amount, start, and then you can build on it. My 2 cents.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, as we wrap up this amazing conversation, and we're going to continue it, recently I was having a conversation with a young lady, and she really touched my spirit. She said this to me, Robert. She said that she just turned 39, and she said that I'm just not happy. I said, why? She said, I'm not happy in my life. I feel like I've failed. I feel like I'm not living, I'm just existing. And that really touched me, because I'm looking at this person. She's super successful. She has a well-paying job, very good corporation she's working for. And I'm just looking at her like, girl, what are you talking about? But let's talk a little bit about that, right? In terms of when we are just going through life and really not living, right? On October 1st, we will be planning an amazing event here in the New York area. It's called the Catalyst Experience. It is an experience whereby we would be speaking life into others, right? From the financial background, Dr. G said, from the wellness background. And this experience, it really will be touching what so many of us are going through as we walk out of this pandemic. Are we just existing, or are we living? So from your perspective, why did you decide to join the Catalyst Experience on October 1st?
And to be honest, when I met you and you said you were doing it for the youth, that's all I needed to hear. Because our job here as adults is supposed to bring up the next generation. And if the next generation fails, we have to take ownership of that, right? Because they don't know. Just like we didn't know when we was coming up, right? Just like when we fell through the traps of like Yanlin said, those credit card companies right in front of your school offer you the credit card, you're going broke. Nobody was there to tell her, wait, Yanlin, this is not how you do it, right? So that's what brought me onto it. And when you're talking about that woman, I'm gonna tell you, money is a real mental, emotional, spiritual thing, right? Everybody's stresses start with money first.
Yes.
If you don't have the money to pay your bills, everything else in your life is going to go downward. Like you said, you look at from the outside, she has a good paying job. She has a lot of things going on. But how she's living her life and how she's spending that money, in her mind, she's like, I got to make more, or I got to work as hard, or I got to put in overtime. I really talk to people about financial freedom. And what financial freedom means to me is not about being a Jeff Bezos or an Elon Musk. That's a different kind of thing, right? That's a different wealth, a different generational thing. I'm talking about just financial freedom. Whereas you're not reliant on that job to pay you for you to do the things that you need to do. Your money works for you even if you're not working. So for me, when I'm talking about my own financial freedom, the way I can run my business, the way I can go do the things and follow my passions, and one of my passions is speaking at events like we're going to have in October, is because I've set up my money in a way where if I chose to not work for 3 years, I don't have to go to work. I can pay my bills, I can do the things, I can take care of my son, I can take care of my wife, I can do all those things, and I don't have to worry about where my next paycheck is coming from. When we talk about, I can't wait to retire, I tell people when you're looking to stop working, it's about liberation. You have to look to say when I'm going to be liberated from being trapped by this shackle of this paycheck. So a lot of times you look from the outside and say she has a good paying job. She may not be happy at her job, but she feels like she has to be there, right? She's not confident enough financially to go take the risk that Dr. G is talking about of going to find another job or even starting a business. So I think when you're talking about that lady, that's what I was thinking about the whole time. Like, well, what's the money problem that she's having? When you're asking why I want to do something like this, is because I want to put people in a position that they could have the information so that when you see that woman again, or when your child sees a woman that looks like that woman is actually happy. She's actually the picture that you picture her as. And I think if we can create that financial freedom or just that financial literacy for people to understand what is it that they're actually doing on this earth, you don't have to chase dollars, then things will be a lot better. And if we can do that, I'm on board of putting my piece, putting my part, putting my effort into it.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, and then recently, while we were in planning stages of this event, a young woman, I believe 15, reached out to me. I think she found me on TikTok. And she said that, hey, really admire your career, but I'm so confused. I don't know what to do with my career. Like, I want to go here, I want to go there, but I don't have any guidance. And that really touched me. It touched me in a way because I said, one, wow, I can't believe that somebody's actually paying attention to my TikTok, because it's literally all over the place. it's so crazy. But the fact, and she really got an old video. So I was like, she was really on my page. But what really touched me was that she took that initiative and reached out. So I wanted to ask you, because I know you have kids, young kids as well. You have nephews, and you are such a force to be reckoned with. But I want to ask you, why should a young person come to the Catalyst experience? Why should a young person come to a summit? Like, what is this summit all about? Why should they be there?
So the first thing that I will say is that our summit, what we're putting together, is going to be inspirational, but in my mind, they're going to walk away with something. They're going to walk away with tangible things to do. They're going to walk away with steps on how to move forward. It's not going to just be one of those things where you feel inspired and then that's it and you go back to your life. You know, I want to make sure that we're giving tools and access to people to things that can help them grow and to help them to really figure out what they want in their lives. Because I feel like they need direction. This young lady needs direction. I'm so happy that she actually reached out to you, because so many would not. So many would not. I mentioned I've been licensed 18 years. I started a team 6 years ago. I also last year started a mentorship program for new agents and agents that are looking to grow their business. My mindset, I have a team. My team is called Legacy Team. The word legacy is so powerful and it's being used so often. But when I think legacy, I think not just money, not just assets. I think mindset. I think about my kids and their kids. I think about the people. What kind of world are we leaving for the next few generations? I think that we have a responsibility, and this is what we're doing. We are giving back. We are giving the tools, because, I want to know what my great grandkids, that they're going to be living and thriving. They're not just going to be. So I just think that it's so important. This summit is so important to me. I just think that we have just a big responsibility to look out for our kids. Our kids are confused. They need direction. Some of the things that I give is what I longed for when I was young. Some of the things that I offer is what I didn't even realize that I should have been thinking about. So I want to make sure that whatever I can do, whatever impact that I can make, that I'm doing it. We have one life. So what is your life going to look like? What are you doing? And I just think that I want my life to matter. I want it to mean something. If I impact 1 or 2 people, that's awesome, but I want my life and my time here to mean something. So I'm excited about what we're doing. We're doing something big.
Yeah. Big, baby, the biggest.
Biggest.
The biggest. As we wrap up, Dr. G, as we're speaking in real time, we just heard the passing of Queen Elizabeth, right? And as you think of her legacy, as you think of the monarchy as to what we know it, right? 70 years on the throne and such a glorious legacy. Let's talk a little bit about our legacy and why it's so essential for Black households to also have a legacy that we can pass on to the next generation. Why is it so imperative for these young people to be at this event at a young age as we speak about legacy?
So, always having to follow behind Robert and Yad and all the nuggets they're dropping, right, all over the place and stuff like that. And now this about legacy, just the same thing that Yad shared about, like, there's no two ways about it. We learned about, and more they talk about, the Black Wall Street. Robert mentioned as well, like a lot of these stuff is things that they're taking advantage of us, right? It's our ideas, it's our things that they're taking and leveraging and then making, getting our money. I think it circles, as I said, our money doesn't even circle in our community one full time, it's back out again, right? So it's important for us to be that example, as Yad shared, like, when I was young, if I wasn't or something, I know that you need to. And they're looking at people like themselves, right? Like we look like them, right? We're telling them these success stories. We're telling that it's possible. And I think that's the story that's never to the forefront, right? We like to shun or, and allow others to shun our community, say, oh, we're not successful. We don't have anybody successful. We only end up in the streets and in the whatever system and all these negative things. Let's shine the positive. And I think this is that opportunity to give hope, to inspire, and to show that, look, whether it's, you can become an entrepreneur, right? There's so many opportunities. You can go into work an environment with skills, like so many different things, and still be able to make your money. And something that I think it's Robert shared is like, even as entrepreneurs and individuals, we need to show that, look, money isn't just the end all. You have to understand how it affects and how it's going to work and what you need. Not everyone's going to be the Bezos or Oprahs of the world, and it's okay to chase that dream. Pathways are different, but building legacy starts with education and letting them understand it and making it not be so, scary.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us in such a timely conversation. As we wrap up, one word, the Catalyst experience, one word. Yadlin, one word. Why should people attend? One word.
It's going empowering.
That's it.
We want to
Robert,
empower.
Impactful.
Dr. G, last but not least.
Can I say bananas? It's going to be off the roof, off the chain. It's just going to be awesome. It's just an inspiration.
It really is. And I just want to thank you. It's an honor working alongside you. I want to thank you all because this is the reason why we're doing this. And I'm so excited to work on this project and many more, certainly. So again, thank you so much for joining the Chop It Up podcast. As you guys already know, make sure you like this episode, make sure you follow, and definitely engage with our guests. We'll put all their social media as well. So thank you so much. If you'd like to learn more about the Catalyst experience that's happening October 1st and 2nd, 2022, that's next month, October 1st, definitely send us an email. And again, we'll put all the information in our podcast. Bye, you guys. Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you for watching the Chop It Up podcast.